RC addicts of the interweb. I'm Will, this is my buddy Rusty here, and we welcome you to Livin for RC. As you can see by this clip right here, I stripped the spur gear. So what we're going to do today in upgrades and repairs number 6 is we're going to replace that gear. So without further ado, cue the intro because we're getting into it right now. Okay, so we got our Traxxas Rustler 4x4 here, we got our tools, and we got our part. So let's get into it. Okay, so first off, if you're wondering what this thing is, this is just a little piece of foam that I hot glued on here because I lost the original flat bracket, which probably would have worked fine for this 4-cell 5200 milliamp Z battery, 80C, 3-cell. Because a couple times when I was running the Rustler with this 3-cell battery, it did fall out. So I went ahead and I just glued a piece of this packing foam that came with a, I don't know, something we ordered, kind of like this one here. I used this, it came with a set of knives. So little things here, organize my stuff. I'm going to drill a couple holes here in this area for putting shock. Yeah, with that in there, it's not going anywhere. So don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell so you can be notified of our next videos, because this Christmas we're going to be getting a plane, because the whole thing was, and I'll show that here, is Living Free RC, Air, Land, and Sea. Right? So I have 4x4s right now. About a decade ago I was heavily into designing, flying, and selling the plans to remote control fixed wing aircraft, and we're going to get back into that. We're going to start with a Nighthawk. No, wait, not the Nighthawk. It's an E-Flight. I'll put a picture of it right here so you see what I'm talking about. But yeah, we're going to get that for Christmas, and we're going to start flying. And then after that, I'm going to start building my own designs and do like I used to do on Lexar RC. You watch the videos, see if you like that plane, head over to the website if you like it, and you can pick that up for, you know, $3, $5, $7, depending on the plan. And then you can build it yourself. The best way to get started in RC, especially RC aviation, is to build it yourself, because if you built it, then you know how to fix it. Okay, so let's get into this. There's only 5 screws we're going to need to take off to install this spur gear. We have these 3, all 3 of these here need to come out. This one and these 2 here. So the first one is this one here, which just removes this little cap, which may not actually be absolutely necessary. It may or may not, I'm not sure. I don't think it's a problem. I think you can pull it out without that, but it's nice to be able to see in here. So you remove that round screw, this piece comes out, and then you can see your gear mesh, so you can see how it's ground off. You see the edge here, that's where it used to be. While we're on this side, we'll take the other 2 out, and then what we're going to do is remove the whole rear section from the chassis, and that's how you pull the whole pinion assembly or gear assembly or mesh assembly or whatever you want to call it, pull it straight out the back. So 5 screws is all it takes. This isn't too hard to repair. It might be a little scary if you're new to it, but don't be. It's not that big a deal. But I would say, as long as you're sure the spacing between these 2 gears is okay, then I would recommend not messing with this screw. If you're pretty sure that's fine, and that's not the reason why it ground off, like in my case, I'm pretty sure it's fine. Because I ran this for months and months, several months, and it just finally ground off. So then we're going to want to flip this over and get the 2 screws in the back here. And I put all my screws in my nice little organizer. And 1 more screw here. Yeah, we'll probably even get a boat too at some point. But for sure this Christmas, we're getting a plane. And we're going to get back into aviation. But we're not dropping any of the 4-wheel drive stuff. I want to add stuff and get as much fun footage as we can and learn as we go, and let's all learn together here and Livin Free RC. So we got all 5 bolts out. Now we just need to remove this. I'm not going to take the tires off. You can if you want to, but it's not really necessary. And if you can see in here, there's kind of a slot in there. So it only goes one way, so when you're putting it back together, you're going to find that this has the same thing. So you have to make sure that this is facing the same way when you slide it back in for it to line up properly. So now that those two things are removed, we can just slide this whole assembly right out of there. So we're going to have to remove the set screw so that we can take this bolt and the spring and the washer off, and that'll gain us access to the spur gear. And then underneath the spur gear is some plates. Okay, so I guess I did it. It was kind of hard to get it out. Set this aside again in my little bin here so I don't lose my stuff. And now we have this nut here that we're going to have to remove. And remove that. Now there is a spring under here, but by the time you get this bolt off, you can see there's already a gap starting to form, so you don't have to worry about the spring shooting off on you. But you can feel that this is starting to loosen up, so I'm trying to hold these layers together while I'm doing this so I don't move those little plates. So how's that camera angle with the Runcam 5 orange I got? It's kind of nice to have such a lightweight little thing. I can move it around wherever I want and get a nice angle. Alright, put that in the bin too. Remove the spring. And then the bearing. We got our part. I think it's going to be easier to take these off. I'm just going to flip them over so I try to make sure they go in the same way. And then we're going to have to take out these 3 screws to remove this plate, the pressure plate or whatever we're calling this. If you experts know, feel free to put that in the comments for everybody. Well, let me know in the comments if you think this camera angle is too close. And the other video, with the C-Hub video, turned out to be 20 minutes. It seems pretty long. On the other hand, when I watched the video myself, it seemed to move by fairly quickly. But again, I mentioned that in that video, and I'll mention it again. If you think the videos are too long, you think I should speed up some of this process, let me know. Because I'm not the only one that watches my videos. I hope. Put that off. Do a little lift under each one of those little wings, and it should come off just fine. Now we need to remove our bearing. And we'll take that part out, we'll switch the new part in, and just do the complete opposite thing that we just did. So we put our bearing in place. I'm going to put this back in place. And so once we have our plate in there, we flip it around and you see the heads of these bolts countersink into these here. So we'll get those put in. And then we'll go around in a circle, tightening up. Give it a little snug, little snug, little snug as you're going around. If you have 2 or 3, just go in a circle. If you have 4 or more, then you can do a crisscross pattern or a Star of David pattern or what have you. We'll give that one a snug, and then we'll go to the next one. Get that one a snug. Now flip it over here, and we see again we have our little pins. So the plates go, there's 2 pins and 2 holes in each plate. Nice and easy. Just make sure you don't lose these tiny little pieces so you can put them back in. The same thing with this piece. If this thing gets loose, you can see there's notches in this washer ring, and then there's little pins that go in the notches. So just make sure you line it up. Try to hold these two layers together as I put this inside here, so it doesn't come apart. There we go. I try to hold this together and then put everything back the same way that it came. First thing is the bearing with that little nipple there, or rubber nubbin, goes down. And then we put our spring and then our bolt. The whole process here isn't too difficult, isn't too scary. Just try to hold this together, 2 fingers on one side, your thumb on the other. So that looks pretty good. Everything's in together. This is spinning and rubbing against there as it should. Notice there's a flat side on the shaft that corresponds with this. So if the flat side is up, I want that bolt to be up as we put that together. Just tighten up that set screw. Alright, nice and snug, but not over tight. And then we're going to try to put it right in there. Then you can look in there and get it. And there we go. Everything is turning. I'll put the rear end back on. And again, like I mentioned before, inside the hole there's a little square. So we'll see which way this is. I'll try to make them both face the same way here. So I'll turn the wheels. I got it straight up and down. And then we'll do the same thing with this part. We'll rotate this until it's straight up and down. That looks good. Now we should be able to slide this right in there. There we go. Now it popped in nicely. And then we do the reverse process with all the screws. As you can see, this screw is slightly longer than the one next to it. And that slightly longer one goes on the bottom. Slightly shorter screw again for the top. And then we bring in this piece. And the longer section goes to the motor side. And then we flip her upside down here and get the two slightly longer screws that should go on the bottom. And there we have it. So that's it. That completes the repair. Let's take it outside, give it a little test drive, make sure everything works good, sounds good, looks good. We'll see you out there. as you can see, it runs pretty good. I ran it almost the whole battery, and as long as you don't remove the motor, if you have to change the pinion side, if you leave that in, and all you have to do is change the spur, just leave the motor in, swap out the spur like we just did here today, and it should run just smoothly for you. The only reason why you might have more of a problem where it chews off right as soon as you buy a new one is if the motor itself is not lined up properly. I've been driving this for several months now on that one plastic pinion before it torn up. So there's a lot of people having problems with those pinions, but personally I haven't had the problem until just now, and I swapped it out, and it drives great. It sounds good. It drives really well with the new aluminum C-Hubs I put in. So that's about it for this one, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. Hope you liked that onboard #RC action. Have a good one, and later up.